Greetings, Ian from RTO here. Welcome to Friday and welcome to a Super Friday. Got 3 shows for you today. We've got an album ranking, a new album and a one-off album. So we're going to kick off with live album ranking as we do on a Friday. And today we're going to look at what I've called Queen and Friends. Now this is looking at the live albums that the Queen have put out with Adam Lambert and Paul Rodgers. Okay, there's going to be a lot of people, and I'm sure I'm going to get a few comments saying, "Oh, Queen ended with Freddie." Yes, Queen did. The Queen we know and love ended when Freddie passed away. But like in any business, when people got to remember that, okay, they've got lots of money, Taylor and May, they own the name Queen. But as musicians, they're not going to sit around doing nothing. And I've got no problem with that. I wouldn't go and see them anymore as Queen but what has happened, it has brought a generation of fans that never saw Freddie, but at least they can go and listen and watch Brian and Roger. So we'll have a bit of a recap. So August 1986, Freddie Mercury gave his last performance at Nebworth Park, and I was lucky enough to be there. A good day, some good music that day, and there was some bad. I had Status Quo, Queen and Big Country all in one place. Not a bad little thing. There was Bella Song, but the less we talk about that, the better. So obviously Freddie passed away in 1991 November, and then they did the Freddie tribute gig at Wembley, and then that was when John Deacon decided to retire and has been retired since 1997. He worked on the album that they put out after Freddie's death, and that was it, all we thought. But in 2004, Brian May and Roger Taylor decided to go out on tour together and take Paul Rodgers, very successful. In this time they was also inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and then in 2005 they received the Ivor Novello Award for Outstanding Song Collection. So Queen and Paul Rodgers went out between 2004 and 2009. And then Paul said that it was never a permanent arrangement, but they were going to go their separate ways. Still friends, of course. They just went and had a lot of fun. So then in stepped Adam Lambert. Now, Adam Lambert, of course, was a contestant on American Idol in 2009. And they had I think they had a Queen show. And I've seen the clip. There's a documentary about this. And Adam Lambert I can't remember what song they were doing, and you looked at Roger, and Roger looked at Brian, and you could think, this may work. And from 2011, they have been doing the business, and they've got and they're doing it with long-time touring Queen keyboard player Spike Edney. And then we had bassist Neil Fairclough and percussionist Tom Weiler, and they've been doing it and pleasing lots of people around the world. So that's a little brief history of where we're at to today. So we've got 4 live albums featuring these people. So coming in at number 4, this was released in 2020, and it's Live Around the World. Which was the first internationally, but they had already released a little something in Japan. On here, this is a compilation of stuff really from 2014 to February 2020, and it does feature Freddie Mercury at Wembley doing the AOs and Love of My Life, Brian May, Roger Taylor, Adam Lambert, Spike Edney, Neil Fairclough, Tyler Warren on percussion between 2017 and 20, and Rufus Tiger Taylor, which is Roger's son, was on some of the songs as well. So these are just taken from random places all over the world. It's a bit of a mix mash. So we've got Tear It Up, Now I'm Here, Another One Bites the Dust, Fat Bottom Girls, which featured the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders apparently, Don't Stop Me Now, I Want to Break Free, Somebody to Love, Love Kills, I Was Born to Love You, Under Pressure, Who Wants to Live Forever, The Show Must Go On, Love of My Life, Bohemian Rhapsody, Radio Gaga, the AO from Wembley. Then we got Hammer to Fall, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, We Will Rock You, and We Are the Champions. Okay, it's nice to hear these songs. I've got no problem with that, but what I have got a problem with is the editing of this album. We've got fade outs, some really dodgy edits, and basically it's a greatest hits live really. Okay, the versions of Love Kills and I Was Born to Love You are pretty good, and hearing the songs that Freddie didn't do. Okay, but I think this album was thrown out. It was in the COVID. I think it was just thrown out. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 4 out of 10. Okay then, coming at number 3 is the one that was only really released, I think, in Japan, and it's called Live in Japan. And it's just an album they put out. It's a full video recording of the performance at the Supersonic Festival in 2014, which was released on video and album in 2017. And on here we have got Brian May, Roger Taylor, Adam Lambert, Spike Edney, and Neil Fairclough. I don't own this. I don't own the other one. But it's a pretty interesting performance. Got some really interesting stuff on this. So this opens up with the beginning of Procession. That's before they come on stage. And we get Now I'm Here. Not a bad version. Stone Cold Crazy. It's always good to hear that. Even if it's not Freddie singing, it's a pretty cool song. Another One Bites the Guts. Another One Bites the Dust. Fat Bottom Girls. In the Lap of the Gods Revisited. I've got memories of this because when I saw Queen do this, there were some people that didn't know what the hell that was. 7-Seater Ride, Killer Queen, I Want It All. That's pretty good. Now this next track is the best one on here, I think. Now I've never heard them do this live, and it's Tio Torre, Let Us Cling Together, which was from Day of the Races, of course. And Brian sings this, and it's brilliant. It's a very acoustic. And then when they do the Japanese singing, the crowd just take over. It's quite atmospheric and really good. Love of My Life, These Days of Our Lives, Roger sings. Under Pressure, I Was Born to Love You, Radio Gaga, Bohemian Rhapsody, We Will Rock You, and We Are the Champions, and God Save the Queen, which now would be God Save the King. But there we go. Okay, as people said, this is not proper Queen, blah blah blah, but I think Adam does a great job. Out of the two that Adam has been involved in, I like this one better because it's got some of the more of the older tracks on, and in Japan they are really passionate about the back catalogue more than the hits, hence why they played Tio Torre, which is brilliant. So I quite like this one because it's got a lot of stuff that I like on it. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 2, an album released in 2008, live in the Ukraine. It was recorded in 2008 and come out in 2009. We've got Freddie Mercury doing some pre-recorded lead on Bijou, Bohemian Rhapsody, and backing vocals on a pre-recorded piano, Bohemian Rhapsody. Brian May on guitars, Roger Taylor on drums, Paul Rodgers on the vocals, guitars and piano, Spike Edney on keyboards, Jamie Moss on guitars, and Danny Miranda on bass and acoustic vocals. So this starts off with One Vision, then goes into Tie Your Mother Down, The Show Must Go On. I think Paul does a great vocal on that. Fat Bottom Girls, another one bites the dust, Hammer to Fall, I Want It All, I Want to Break Free. Then we get Seagull from Bad Company, of course. Love of My Life, really good. And they do 39, which I love. Then we get a little bit of a drum solo from Roger Taylor. It was a very short one because he hates long solos. Then he does I'm in Love with My Car, which is absolutely brilliant on here. Then we get Say It's Not True, which is off the Cosmos Rocks album. A brilliant version of Shooting Star. One of my favourite tracks by Bad Company. Then we get Bad Company. Brian May's guitar solo including that little improv from Brighton Rock. Bijou, which I've never heard, and it's got Freddie does the on tape, which is good. Last Horizon, another track from the Cosmos. Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Celebrity, great live. It's a bit dodgy on the studio version, but I love the live version of that. Then we get Feel Like Making Love, and Bohemian Rhapsody. Cosmos Rocking is absolutely banging on this. I love that track anyway, and it was great to see them do that live. All Right Now, We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, and the National Anthem. That's a huge fan of Paul Rodgers. I loved it when he worked with Brian and Roger. He's got one of the greatest voices, and there's not many singers that can sing Queen songs and do it properly. I mean, people have done it. Paul Rodgers, Alan Lambert, and of course loads of people did it at the Freddie tribute gig, and the best one of that was, I think, George Michael. We are going to have a look at that whole concert in the camera's view at some stage, so that's why we're not going to mention it today. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.5. So my number one and my favourite live album post Freddie Mercury is The Return to the of the Champions, recorded in May 2005 at the FM Arena in Sheffield, and it came out later in the year. So it's Paul Rodgers, Brian May, Roger Taylor, Spike Edney, Jamie Moses, Danny Miranda, and bits of pre-recorded Freddie Mercury. This starts off with Reaching Out, Tie Your Mother Down, I Want to Break Free, Fat Bottom Girls, Wishing Well, great version of that. Then we got another one, Bites the Dust, A Crazy Little Thing Called Love, Say It's Not True, great little vocal from Roger, I like that song. Then we get 39, Love of My Life, Hammer to Fall, Feel Like Making Love, and then this is great, you get Roger starts going into like a drum solo, and he stops and he says, oh, don't do this, and then he does a great little version of Let There Be Drums, which is a Sandy Nelson from the 60s, and I love that track anyway, and it's a great version. Then he goes and does I'm in Love with My Car. We get the bright guitar solo Then we get Last Horizon, obviously that's some Back to Light. Then on the second disc we get These Days of Our Lives, Radio Gaga, Can't Get Enough, A Kind of Magic, I Want It All, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Show Must Go On, All Right Now, We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, God Save the Queen. Definitely my favourite of these 4 albums. I think this is a little bit better than the Ukraine one because this is done indoors and it's a British crowd. And the thundering version of Let There Be Drums on here. And I think this has got a great mixture. We've got songs from Free, we've got songs from Bad Company, Queen, even thrown in some Brian May solo. I thought Paul did a great job singing on these. It's just a really good album. I don't take it as a Queen album. I just think it's Queen as I do as it says. It's a Queen and Paul Rodgers album. So you get a best of both worlds on here. And I really enjoy this album. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. There are all sorts of little bits and bobs out. There's I think another thing they put out in during COVID. It was on the last tour while they were before the COVID lockdown, and it has got a really nice bit of Doing All Right on it. I mean, I've got a copy of that for that. It's not a brilliant copy, but that's what the cover looks like. So if you see it, if you just want to hear that, that's what it is. Okay, that's all for this one. Got another couple of shows to come up. Next one I'll be recording will be a new album review. I'm going to look at a Christmas album, and it's the new Christmas album from Andrea Corr. So join me for that later. Bye for now.